Welcome back to Retirement Today. I'm your co-host Jonathan Berkland, and with me here in the studio is Michael Reese, and we've been having a good time today talking about some of the more negative things on the horizon, but we enjoy talking about it because we want you to have the information that you need to make smart decisions, and we know that we can help you, right, rectify your situation before a potential calamity happens here.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. And by the way, let me give you a little story, right?
Yeah.
So we've been talking this week, right, Jonathan?
Yes.
About how there's all these red flags out there
Lots and lots of
that
them,
are telling us that the economy is likely to suffer a pretty deep recession. I hope to goodness I'm wrong with that. But I've been doing this long enough that I know I'm probably not.
Yeah.
I'm probably right on this one.
Unfortunately, yeah, right?
And, we have good times in the economy. We also have bad times. When's the last time we've had a serious, true recession? It wasn't COVID.
No, that didn't really count.
It was 2008.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
At this point, that's like what, 15, coming up on 15 years ago.
Right. It's time.
To say we are due,
Yeah, exactly.
that's the overstatement of the year.
Right.
In any event, I'm sorry, did I say overstatement of the year? That's the understatement
yes.
of the year. I misspoke. Nevertheless, let me share with you what can happen if you just ignore this, right? I talked about earlier in the show, and if you missed that earlier in the show, you can always, look up our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Centennial Advisors is the name of the company, and you can always look us up on YouTube. And Centennials with a C, like 100 years. Anyway, I shared earlier in the show how I followed what the financial industry told me to do to structure my parents' retirement portfolio.
Yeah.
And 4 years into their retirement, I had to deliver the news that half of their money was gone because the markets didn't cooperate. Now, thank goodness my father had a pension and Social Security. If it weren't for that pension, he would have had to go back to work.
Yeah.
But because he had a pension, we were able to make it all kind of work out. And if you listened earlier, I figured out a better way to do things. I realized that the financial industry, honestly, when it comes to retirement planning, they don't know anything.
They're not there to give you the assistance you need, right?
The worst part about it is the financial industry still giving the same advice to retirees that I gave to my parents 23 years ago that's been proven not to work in the early 2000s. It didn't work in 2008, and it's not going to work again the next time the markets decide not to cooperate. It's like they know it doesn't work, but they just keep giving it.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's what's good for them. It's not what's good for you. And that offends me. So, here's another thing that can happen. Here's another situation I will never forget. I will never forget, let's call him Chuck, not his real name. Chuck came to us in the fall of 2007. He worked for General Motors. He had gotten up to $1 million in his 401k. And in his mind, Jonathan, in his mind, he thought, if I just get to $1 million, I can retire.
The magic number, right? Yeah.
Why do you think you need that number, Chuck? He could not explain why other than, I need $1 million. Right? Well, we had visited with him. We said, all right, so here's the thing, Chuck. You got to that magic number. You want to retire in a couple months. We recommend that you move that money to cash. And yeah, you might miss up on a little bit more upside between now and the first of the year, but hey, you won't lose it, and you're guaranteed you'll be able to retire January 1. He's like, all right, that's what I will do. Let's schedule a time in January after I retire where we can get together, and we will get the money moved over and help you get everything set up. Well, here's what happened. Did Chuck move his money to cash? No.
Oh.
And so we know that the stock market of 2008, it started going down in the fall of 2007.
Yes.
So he didn't move the money. So by the time we got to January, we were calling to confirm our appointment. He says, oh yeah, I want to back that up a month. I've already called in to back up my retirement 1 month to February because his account had dropped down to $960,000. And he figured it'd take just one more month to get it back up to $1 million so he could retire. And we're like, Chuck, given the income you need, you can still retire at 960. You don't need $1 million.
You're okay, yes.
Well, I want it to be $1 million.
Ah.
We'll get together in February. Well, along comes February. Now we're bumping it back to March. Then we're bumping it back to April. And every month and finally, by the time we got to the end of the year, he never did come in, because by the time we got to the end of the year, he was down to $600,000.
Oh, wow.
And now he can't retire.
No.
Now he doesn't have enough money to retire. And he had to work, Jonathan, 5 more years. 5 more years before he got his account back up to where he wanted it so he could retire.
5 lost years, essentially. I mean, think of all the things he could have done, right?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because when he came to me, when he finally did retire, this is what he said to us. He said, I want you to tell my story to everybody, because it's not about, in his case, it wasn't about working 5 more years that really killed him. It didn't kill him. I mean, it really bothered him.
Sure.
He's like, I like my job, and, it's not a big deal. I can work 5 more years. Although, thank goodness he didn't get laid off.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But here's what he did say. He goes, here's why this was so hurtful to me. When I wanted to retire, my grandson was 6 years old when I wanted to retire. He goes, I had envisioned spending a lot of time with him, taking him for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, a month at a time out to, to the cottage to go fishing. I envisioned taking him to Disney. I envisioned spending all this time with my 6-year-old grandson. And, for that next and here it is, 5 years later, he's 11. He doesn't want to spend time with me anymore.
Things change, that's right.
He just wants to spend time on his little iPad or whatever, they had these days.
PlayStation, whatever.
Yeah, it's like he's lost the opportunity. Like, he has 1 grandchild.
Yeah.
And he lost the opportunity to really make a significant impact. Now, I told him, I said, hey, it's not like the kid's 25 years old yet.
Right.
You still have time. But there's something about a grandparent spending time with a grandchild in those younger formative years that you never give up. Mm-hmm. For as long as I live, I'll never forget when I was 8 years old, we used to play cards with my grandparents. There's a game they called it Crazy Rummy.
Okay.
My grandparents, and this is on my dad's side, they would never let us kids win. They were believers that we would win when we earned it.
There you go, yeah.
Right? And I'll never forget the first time I won that stupid game.
Big deal, yeah.
Because it's a big deal, because I knew I earned it. I knew they didn't give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what did that do? And here's the thing, it taught me in life. Look, it took me, a couple years anyway before I finally won a stupid game. But it taught me, if that sense of accomplishment was amazing. And it taught me, hey, if there's something you really want, you got to work to earn it. Right?
That's right.
I was 8 years old when that was happening. Well, in this case, Chuck, he missed that with his grandson. And so, again, all is not lost at that point, of course. But here's the thing. Markets don't care about you. The industry doesn't care about you. You are the one that cares about you. And if you are recently retired, or you're going to retire, or you plan on retiring in the next 2-3 years, you absolutely, now is the time more than ever. You've got to get your financial ducks in a row. You have to make sure that you have the right strategies in place that will protect you, that will protect that retirement that you worked so hard for. You worked for 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. You deserve to have some time off and enjoy the fruits of your labor. You deserve that. But the market isn't just going to give it to you. The industry, the financial industry doesn't just give it to you. You have to be proactive, and you must implement the right strategies. And that's where we come into play. So we've put together for you a personalized Retire Right report. It does not matter. You have $100,000, $1 million, $10 million. It doesn't matter. This report's built for you.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And it's free to the first 10 callers. Probably had 7, 8 already
Yeah,
call in,
it's
maybe more.
Busy
So
day, yes.
so just give us a call now as we wrap up the show. Jonathan, what's that number to get that free report? Easiest way to make sure your ducks are in a row. Go ahead.
Reach out to us, 512-886-5850. That's 512-886-5850. It's after hours, so we go to our answering service. Just leave your name, number. We'll connect on a time to reach out to you and get started on that conversation. It's really simple, like Mike's saying. We just have a conversation and give you an idea of what your baseline is like, right, as part of that Retire Right report, so that you know where you sit today and what you might need to do to improve your situation. Don't hope for the best. Get a plan in place.
We want to
There you
make
go.
sure that if the worst comes, you're in great shape. If the best comes, you're in great shape. And the first step, and it's super easy, all you do is call us 512-886-5850. Give us a call. Let's connect. Let's get this report together for you. It's free, no obligation. Why wouldn't you? And with that, I think that's our show this week. Jonathan,
Yeah.
great talking to you again, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week.